let's take a look around the Big 12 here. Week 4 scores.
Yes, sir. Very
Okay,
interesting week.
We just discussed it for almost an hour here. K-State's 38-9 loss at BYU.
Wow.
BYU's defense is legit. Their crowd played a huge factor in the game. K-State was not ready for it. I don't know if it's a hangover from the Arizona game. We don't know. The coaching was bad. Worst execution I've ever seen. An anomaly, it really does feel like. K-State's receivers are terrible. Avery Johnson played his worst game. Just a really terrible effort all around from the K-State offense. The defense was fine, short fields, but horrible. I don't know what else to say about that.
You just got to move on from it. I mean, just try to look past it, look ahead. That game it's a stinker. It's gonna be the thorn in our side all season long. You know, hopefully it doesn't come to haunt us later on the season.
Yeah, I mean, the only good thing is that I don't feel like, which I mean this with all due respect, I do not feel like BYU is going to compete for the conference championship. Now they're 4-0, they're 1-0. They have a good defense. I do not feel like that's a team that will compete for the conference title. So if you're going to lose, don't lose to a team that you might have to compete for later in terms of head-to-head, because K-State obviously lost that head-to-head. And there's a big game next Saturday, which we're going to talk about on Tuesday. So
speaking of next week,
I mean, this is a massive win from Utah at Oklahoma State. I mean, they really dominated the game. I mean, I think they were up 13-3. They were up, I think, almost 19-3 at some point. That touchdown their tight end scored where he walked into the end zone might have been the most demoralizing touchdown Oklahoma State has ever given up. And Utah did that without Cam Rising. They're the team to beat by far in this conference.
Yeah, I retract my statement of K-State being the team to beat. I have to retract it immediately. Utah, that touchdown where he walked in from like the 5-yard, that was embarrassing. Oh man, what the disrespect, bro! At home, at a Oklahoma State like home crowd. Oh man, the fact that they were able to pull that off in Stillwater, gotta give props to Utah, man. I mean,
absolutely. And as we have 46 people watching, please make sure you guys like, subscribe, tell your friends. We've gone up a decent amount in terms of subs last week, but please make sure you guys subscribe as we're trying to get closer to monetization. Utah dominated this game. There's no other way around it. Oklahoma State, this is a bad showing at home. You cannot lose home games in this conference.
Check the Ollie Gordon stat. We got to do this every time against Oklahoma State.
Because he's done nothing this year, man.
It's crazy.
Oh, shoot.
Bear with us here for a moment. Ollie Gordon. Oh, I just saw him for a second.
11 carries, 42 yards. My goodness.
Oh, my God.
Did he catch the ball at all?
And he had an 18-yard long. So the majority of the game, oh, my God.
And he had 3 catches for 16 yards. So basically, he's been held in check almost every single game.
People got his number, man. Wow.
That's crazy. Okay. Wow. But yeah, shout out to Utah. I mean, they are clearly the favorites in this conference. I think they jumped to number 10 in the new polls, which I actually think BYU also got into the polls.
They did. They're top 20. I think we're 23rd, I think.
This is 23rd in one and 25 in the other. So Utah's number 10 overall right now. Iowa State, 52-7. Massive win, man. Like, I did not see them dominating like they did. And it looks like they found some offense, and they're going to be a scary team to play. And I'm not looking forward to that November game on senior night at Iowa State. A
lot can happen from between now and then, so we'll see.
Yeah, injuries. You never know for sure. But, I mean, that's an impressive showing, and they're ranked as well, I believe. Let me look here. Maybe not.
20. Well, it says they're ranked
20. They're 18th in the new AP poll and 19 in the coaches poll. BYU is 22nd in the coaches poll and 22nd in the AP poll. Like I said earlier, K-State's 23rd AP, 25 in coaches. So I would say it's good, man. This conference is good. This is a good conference. Despite the fact that ESPN only wants to talk about SEC and the Big Ten. So this was probably the biggest shocking score of the entire weekend. I mean, I think you have something you wanted to say about this Houston-Cincinnati game.
I'm done with my faith in Houston. Done, completely done. I thought that maybe they had something going for them after they beat Rice, after they had a close game against OU. I'm like, oh dang, maybe Houston actually does have something going here. Nope, not at all. Not at all. Like I'm done with Houston. You guys, like the barn is on fire. Like your field is on fire. The whole entire program is on fire right now. It's time to panic for Houston. I don't see them winning a single game this year, at least in conference
terrible.
play.
Yeah, they're terrible. I mean, K-State should annihilate them. Going back to the last game, Roy Wall says Gordon looks heavy and slow compared to last year. Yeah, I mean, he looks like, in terms of Ollie Gordon, actually 2 games. Ollie Gordon is playing like a guy. If you're in NFL that just got a contract, like, haha, now I can relax because I just got this huge contract. That's how he's playing, right?
Yep.
He had a
Yeah.
huge year last year, and he's done nothing so far this year. So
Yeah.
I mean, I've not personally, watched a bunch of Oklahoma State, so I can't agree or disagree with that. But in terms of the stats, from what we've seen just on the stats, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Houston is no good right now. I mean, I had Cincinnati winning. I think Houston is the worst team in the conference by far.
That's it, man.
Shout out to Cincinnati, 34-0 win, man. 24-0 at halftime. If there's any solace in K-State losing yesterday, if there's any solace, KU blew a 28-17 lead with like 5 minutes left in the game.
Oh my god, dude!
And gave up a game-winning touchdown with, I think, 30 seconds left in the game to Garrett Green. And the coach for West Virginia had like probably the best quote I've heard so far this year. And this is kind of a shot at Jalen Daniels, who has been god-awful this year, which is nice to see as a K-State fan. Neil Brown, West Virginia's head coach, says, and I quote, "We have Garrett Green and they don't, and that's why we won." So he's talking about his quarterback compared to KU's quarterback, obviously. And yeah, KU's 1-3. They can't win close games, and it's nice to see. I'll just say that.
Even though Avery Johnson did try to do his best cosplay of Jalen Daniels last night, Jalen Daniels can only do Jalen Daniels.
Stink. JD6 is looking benchable as hell. Yeah, no, I mean, I heard a lot of people calling for him to be benched.
Yeah, so. Yeah.
But I mean, their defense gave up 32 points.
Here we go, Steve. Here we go. Arizona State, Texas Tech.
It was a close game. And
we talked about this, man. We talked about fraud alert on Arizona State's side.
Yeah, this was a prove it game for us, and Arizona State did not prove it. But they played a closer game than our K-State Wildcats did, and they only lost one score at Texas Tech, who was up 17-10 at halftime. So,
yeah. I mean, it's tough to win on the road. Arizona State going to Lubbock. It's a tough environment everywhere in the Big 12. So, but Texas Tech needing to prove to their program that they're legit team in this conference. And I think they did. I mean, of course, they're playing against Arizona State. We didn't know how good they really were because they weren't really playing anybody yet. Texas Tech is still needing to prove some things. I want to actually check out their running back. Brooks. 27 carries.
117 yards.
All right. So he was kind of a bit of a star yesterday. So that's
Arizona State's running back had 117 yards receiving. What? That dude is a bruiser. How does he have 30 yards receiving? That's wild, dude. And he had on the ground, what did he have rushing? 60 yards. So he had 177 total yards on 24 touches and 2 touchdowns. He kept him in the game. It looks like kept him in the game.
Wow. Wow.
I have to ask you this question. Texas Tech fans were pretty pissed off, rightfully so, after the first couple weeks. I mean, they had to go to overtime to beat Abilene Christian. They lost at Washington State pretty big. Then they come home and annihilate North Texas and then beat Arizona State. And, yes, I think how many home teams won? Every home team won, right? Except for Oklahoma State. So far that we've looked at, it's tough to win on the road in this conference. I'm going to ask you, would you rather have Texas Tech's 3-1 or K-State's 3-1? And I'm curious to hear your answer because Texas Tech has looked worse than K-State, but they're 1-0 in the conference and K-State is not.
I'd take K-State's 1-0 or 3-1 or whatever over Texas Tech.
I'm going to go the opposite of you. I'd rather be 1-0 in the conference, but K-State never gets to start their conference play at home. Like, it's happened 7 times since 1996. K-State has started at home, and which is completely wild. It's been like 20 plus times that they've started the conference on the road. I do not get that. Texas Tech got a gift of starting at home against an Arizona State team, which we thought was on fraud alert. I'd rather be 1-0 than 0-1. I'll just say that. I think K-State's a far, far, far better team than both of those teams.
I'll say this, Steve. The reason why I'm picking K-State's 3-1 is just because of the place that we played, or the team that we played. I think that we're gonna. I think we could get a win off of Arizona State if they played in the Bill. So I don't think it's that much of an achievement.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen this year. So
yeah, I don't think that's much of an achievement for Texas Tech to be 1-0 in the conference, because we're probably going to be. We would have been 1-0 if we went against Arizona State at the Bill. But
we'd finally be 4-0. But we don't get that gift of ever starting conference play at home. We never get that gift.
Yeah, I don't understand.
TCU gave up a 66 burger at SMU, which lost at home. Their only loss is to BYU. TCU, their defense sucks, man. Their defense sucks. They gave up 35 points at home to UCF, lost at the end of the game. They're not very good. Their coach has been very questionable since going to the national title game. That's embarrassing. Yes, how the mighty have fallen on hard times, LOL. Yes, and I love to see it.
Tom, what a great quote, man, because you're absolutely right. I mean, Tom is really firing off here on these comments here.
I agree.
Jayhawks are done for the year. Focus on basketball. I mean, love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, man, this TCU comment here is absolutely just spot on. We kind of knew that going in even last year. When they lost like their entire senior class on that year they went to the championship game, they just did not follow up with good recruiting since then, and they have just been struggle busting it ever since. So good for you to point that out. I mean, SMU, man, coming up big. And again, the consistent storyline here, Steve, is every home team except for Stillwater.
Literally every home team won, including Colorado on an insane play.
Oh my God.
You had one job. You gave up a Hail Mary to tie the game. And then in overtime, your running back fumbles into the end zone that would have tied the game. I mean, Dave Aranda, what are you doing, man? Like, get back to the details and the fundamentals with your team, because this is embarrassing. I really want Colorado to lose. I hate that program right now. I hate everything about Colorado, and I dislike that they won the game a lot.
It's frustrating that they're 3-1.
Yeah,
they're 1-0 in Big 12. That's extremely frustrating. I've said Baylor is problematic. I said Baylor is not very good. I didn't want my comments of Baylor sucking to resonate in the sense of a loss against Colorado, because I don't think that their team is worse than Colorado. I just think Colorado has moments where they just make big plays and people just let them get back in the game somehow. It's frustrating, dude. Oh man.
Well, okay, so here's what I'm going to say to that. Shout out to you. Thank you for watching. That's the first thing I want to say.
We don't hate the fans there,
No, we
okay?
don't hate the fans. I just hate what Prime
Brought to Colorado.
has done to Colorado. And I mean, he was talking bad about how Colorado State players were talking crap, which they were. They were talking crap. Colorado's been doing that for the last year and a half. Like, what do you mean, bro? What do you mean? Like, your sons talk crap more than anyone. Shiloh, like, is the worst crap talker in college football. Like, he was talking mad crap to Nebraska right before they kicked off, and then they got their butts kicked. And I love seeing that.
No disrespect to the Colorado fans. You guys are great.
I just dislike Prime and what he's done to Colorado.
Yeah. What he's done is he's just made it about himself, which he always does. Everywhere he goes, he just makes it about himself.
Yeah, and you can tell that he grew up privileged. I'll just say that.
And it shouldn't be about that. It should be about the program. It should be about the culture. It should be about all that stuff. I mean, you got some solid players, that Prime basically brought over. What do we got here? Colorado had to fight back and get back in the game. Yeah, I mean, listen. You guys have great players. It's not like I'm saying that it's fraudulent. I'm just saying that Baylor is a stinker team, but great on Colorado for capitalizing on the mistakes that Baylor let that team let them back in the game. I mean, it is what it is. It's frustrating though. As a person who thought that Baylor could actually give Colorado a loss in conference play, because it's not. I'm not saying that they call. Yeah, they should have done it. I just as for Colorado fans, you should be happy your team is winning. I mean, Prime has put a lot of eyeballs on you, for better or for worse. I mean, you guys, you got the nation watching you. So it's just that as K-State fans, we're more like blue collar.
We're completely different than what Prime is. We'll just say that.
Yeah, and we just have different thoughts and opinions on what matters in football and college football level. So
Prime brought in $10 million Colorado in revenue.
Hey,
good.
I'm saying that's great. That's great for your program. It's just that his philosophy and his personality doesn't jive with me. That's nothing. There's nothing wrong with having disagreements. I mean,
we'll find out in a couple weeks here what's going on with K-State and Colorado. I mean, their passing offense is legit. K-State's passing defense is not legit, and so we'll see. We'll see what's happening.
We will definitely have to see. I mean, we've already gone against a really good passing team in Arizona, but that again was at the Bill. We'll see what happens when we go.
Hold on, let's get to this one. Is this the end for Dave Aranda? Maybe. I mean, if they don't go to a bowl game this year, I could see that, which is
frustrating,
considering he just won the Big 12 a couple years ago. So, who are the new 8 teams you see a potential rivalry with? I would say BYU, but the fan bases like each other too much. Utah ? Yeah, we don't play Utah this year. I don't know. I know UCF, their fans. Shout out to UCF fans. They've been all up in the comments, and they have a lot to be happy about right now. Their team is good. It's hard for me to say UCF though, because their stadium isn't as big overall, and I don't feel like they're going to stay good forever. So maybe BYU, but yeah, it's hard because I do like the BYU fans a lot. So I don't know.
To me, like rivalries happen over a long course of over a very long period of time. Farmageddon,
Sunflower Showdown.
The Sunflower. I mean, like K-State has very specific rivalries already in place, and that was built over decades of playing these teams, and we've literally just been in the same conference. I mean, the Big 8 turned into the Big 12, and we've kind of already got our rivalry established. There have been some teams that have left our conference, like Nebraska and Missouri, that we had rivalries with. But I would say, in terms of new teams, I mean, nothing's really shown. Now, BYU and K-State, depending on how back and forth usually rivalries.
That's a match when they played, and BYU has a 5-4 lead overall.
It's usually a back and forth. With the Kansas, it's 16. We're going to be 16 straight years for K-State, but usually it's when like two teams are really good and they take wins off of each other every year, every other year, or whatever. And so, to typically that's when you have a rivalry, and we just haven't played these new teams that are coming in long enough.
We have not even played all of them, honestly. So,
and if we have, and the ones that we have played, we've just played them once, and it's like you can't build a rivalry off of one game. And it's usually like the big storylines, like the BYU
Colorado could be one because K-State's got a history of Colorado, so they could possibly be one.
It could be a startup of like an old rivalry,
and they're closer than a lot of these other new teams are. So I guess if I had to pick Colorado, and then after that maybe BYU, but I don't know. I mean, we haven't even played Cincinnati yet, you know what I mean? And we're not going to play Utah this year, so it's really hard for me to answer that question. So
yeah, that's a good question though.
Yep. Let's hit the rest of these, and then we're going to get out of here. Yeah, Aranda is on borrowed time. I agree. They've won 7 games in 3 years. That is terrible. He also won that Big 12 title of Rule recruits. Yep, Matt Rule, who's now at Nebraska. I agree. TCU is the closest that I can think of for a rival that's not an original 8. Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Hate their fans. Yeah. At least the ones I've interacted with. When I went to Arlington and K-State beat them in a Big 12 championship game. So, yeah, that's a look around the Big 12 for week 4.